Right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entertainment, entrepreneurship, sports, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with the one and only Joe Calabrese. And Joe, our episode today is going to be complete mayhem.
Wow, that's a good teaser. We are very, very happy to have this guy back on with us. We got the opportunity to meet him back in Orlando at the Over the Edge Celebrity Weekend event in December. And honestly, you think he's tall, and he's much taller in person. But we're very happy to have him on. He's had a lot of opportunities come his way, including the one that you just gave a nice teaser for. So, good morning. We welcome back to the show two-time guest, Fessy. Fessy, man. Good morning.
Good
Kind of
morning.
send you a little reminder. You were out and out about early this morning, taking
Mhm.
care of some personal stuff, but you look great. You always look great. More importantly, how you feeling?
Feel great, man. I feel blessed to have, that American Gladiators opportunity. We met when was it? December?
Yep,
Or when was Champ Camp? And
December. Yeah.
It was December. It was the day after all the stuff from the weekend had
yeah,
started to subside. Everybody started leaving, and yeah, I had the opportunity to come to Champ Camp, which was electric. Seeing you and Kylan and meeting Jordan there for the first time in person. And again, the event was amazing. It was put together really, really well. It's the opportunity for you guys to give back. But enough of me talking. Keep going.
I was saying I remember talking to you guys about American Gladiators, and it's
Yeah.
finally, they finally started the promo. A lot of people don't know we shot it in June. So, filming was probably around a month, and we shot a lot of episodes in that time. So, to get home in July, like we got home like July 3rd, and then have to wait April 17th for it to come out. We're all excited. And it's unlike anything we've seen on reality television in the past decade. The last time we saw American Gladiators was in 2008 for 2 seasons, and that was on NBC. And there was no streaming back then. There was no social media back then. That was during the writer's strike. So it was a whole different world back then. And now with the recent launch and success of the UK's reboot of their Gladiators on the BBC network, I mean, they've completely blown the top off of that thing. They already sold out a 24 show tour in the span of a month over there in the UK and through Live Nation. So I'm hoping all the gladiators obviously are hoping that they tend to do that with the American Gladiators. Once ours premieres, we're all hoping we go on tour around America and we could sell out basketball arenas and do the games in front of everybody live. That would be a definitely a dream come true. So I'm excited for the premiere. Yeah, I whooped everybody's ass, so I'm excited for y'all to see that.
How did the opportunity to be on the show come about? Were you reaching out to people? Did they reach
This is
out to
how it
you?
happened. Yeah, I'll tell you the story. Bear with me. Give me about 90 seconds. So, long story short, when the challenge started making me an alternate and kind of put me on the back burner, I was like, all right, well, I got to pivot, switch gears. So I went on Instagram, and I knew that a lot of casting producers had the word casting in their bio. So I went on IG, I searched casting, followed like 10, casting producers, and then I was going through their recent posts and saw some flyers or whatever, and I saw one for American Gladiators, and it was like a couple weeks prior. So I DM'd the guy and I was like, "Hey, are you still casting?" And I didn't know if it was for a contender, gladiator. I didn't know what the hell it was. And he was like, "Hey man, I think you'd be a great gladiator. Send me some clips." So I did some Zoom interviews for, personality and character assessment or whatever. And then I sent him like athletic videos. And the guy was like, "Yeah, yeah, but are these recent?" Because a lot of the videos were like kind of like blurry or whatever. I was like, "Listen, man, just get me to the combine and I'll show you everything there. I promise. Just get me in the combine. I'll make you look good. I promise I'll make the cut. You know what I mean? You'll look good as a casting producer." I was like selling myself. So long story short, I go to the combine, and let's just say after the combine, I knew, even though they didn't tell us right then and there that if you got the gig, I knew I had the gig just based on my performance. They had us doing like man on man wrestling drills. So picture a boxing ring. We were in a gym and had a boxing ring. And inside the boxing ring, maybe a third of the boxing ring, there was a circle taped off. And it was me versus you. Say it's me versus you, Nick. your job in 60 seconds, you got to try to push me out the circle. I got to try my hardest to not let you. Then we switched, vice versa.
Yeah.
So, based on that performance, and then they had us do like one-on-one football drills in the little turf areas you see in gyms, like 10 yards, 10 by 10 yards, one person have the football, you got to try to avoid them to show some, lateral quickness. So, based on what I knew, I think my TV experience helped me because after I whooped everybody's ass in the boxing ring, I knew that all the producers and the higher ups for like MGM and Amazon, they all had their phones out recording. There was about 10 of them, and you knew who the higher ups were. And they had their phone out because they knew like this is a big part of, how you're going to cast American Gladiators. Anybody, not anybody, but people can have physiques or be able to do a lot of push-ups, pull-ups. That doesn't necessarily translate to being able to pursue and tackle somebody in powerball or scale a rock climbing wall or have some of those lateral quickness or aggression or whatever. So after I whooped people's ass, I was like, I just whooped the biggest guy in here. Go find me someone bigger. Like I was saying that to the producers while they had their phone out because in my head, I knew, okay, it's obviously about athletic performance, but it's also, a show and
Entertainment.
they're looking for that over the top. So a lot of people, they see me on TV a lot of years and they're like, oh, he's kind of quiet or whatever. And yeah, I am. But now, in my head, I'm an experienced person on TV. I know what they're looking for. So I had to sell myself to get in. So that's
Yeah.
basically the startup story. Yeah.
So they wanted that promo, the and that you knowing from TV, Big Brother and the challenge that ended up pushing you over the edge, which is fantastic. Now this, how long was this combine? Was it a few days, one day?
I think they hosted several. I
Several
think,
people.
between the span of a couple months prior to filming, they probably had 2 to 4 or something, but mine was only a day.
Yeah.
So we walked in, they did height, weight, measurements, and then we did like how many push-ups you could do in 60 seconds, how many pull-ups, how many sit-ups, and then it was the wrestling and then the football and then like a rope climb and then interviews and that was it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you got back into the boxing ring. I don't know if you had never been there before. You did the rope thing. A lot of people do that in high school. For you, you've had your training regimen, for the better part of the last 10 years or so. You're from collegiate athlete, right? Uh, is there anything else different that they had you doing to prepare for the show? Because again, it's something where it's not just strongman wins, right?
Mhm.
It's competition stuff,
Yeah.
obstacle course like stuff. It mimics a couple of other shows like that on TV. So, is there anything else that you had to do that, changed up what you were doing a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that training regimen came after we got cast. So after the combine, once they called us, we worked out contracts, we got the gig. Then the head trainer, his name's Stuart, he works with all the gladiators worldwide. He's an awesome guy, amazing guy. He texted us, sent us, workout plan to gear us and get us ready for the type of game. Because you're right, it's not like it is your typical David versus Goliath. That's what the whole thing's supposed to look like. These huge meathead guys, if you will, going up against these smaller guys. But the way you cast it is these smaller guys, I mean, they're yoked up. They're just not above 6 feet, most of them, like some are. They brought some big boys, but a lot of them are CrossFit guys or rock climbing guys that are super agile and quick. And that's what a lot of these games are meant for the contenders to shine. Like on the wall, which is basically a 30, 40 foot rock climbing wall, they get a 7 second head start, these contenders. And then the gladiators get to go and they got to try to rip them off. And if, I'm 6'5", 240 and there's gladiators that weigh more than me. So if you can't beat a massive gladiator up a rock wall and you're like, a leaner guy, you're in trouble because there's other games like Gauntlet where you have to run through a narrow tunnel and there's 4 or 5 gladiators waiting with, them football pads ready to just drill you into the side. So, I mean, when I got cast, I was like, man, God, if you get me on this and I end up filming this thing, like I'll say it was because of you. It had to be because of you because like this is like perfect. I know everybody once this comes out, everybody and their mother are gonna want to be on this show, whether it's a contender or it's a gladiator. And I got in, you know,
The ground floor.
ground floor, and I'm just waiting on y'all to see. I mean, not only my performance, but these other gladiators they casted, and even some of the contender stories and their performances. But these other gladiators, I just got to give hats off to the casting department because there's like on the girls and guy side, like on the guy side, there's this guy, his name's Eric Buggs. He's from the WWE, and this
Yep,
guy,
Rick Boogs. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
he just looks like your prototypical American gladiator. Just throw that dude in some spandex and throw him out there. He's prime, ready to go. And he's got a lot of personality. And then even on the women's side, they brought Danny Spiegel, who's 6, 7 times CrossFit athlete. She's probably one of, if not the most well-known athlete in the CrossFit industry. And then there was this girl, she was in the AEW. Her name's Kaylee. She goes by Hurricane, and she was whooping some ass. Like so, the casting as far as the visuals and making these athletes look good in spandex is obviously one thing, but you could get it wrong where you cast somebody, they got the six pack, the big muscles, and the persona, but then they get out there and they're a deer in headlights. So, a lot of these gladiators really put their money where their mouth was. So I'm excited for the world to see it. And on a global scale, it's Amazon Prime. It's being released simultaneously to 240 countries and territories. It's gonna go berserk.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a star-studded cast. You also had Mr. Spectacular, Jesse, who was a Big Brother alum like yourself.
That was my
Uh,
first time meeting him.
yeah, I was gonna say, did you guys connect at some point in the past due to your Big Brother history prior to that? And I mean, like, you can go, one by one throughout the list. Is there anyone else that you were, happy to meet there, shocked to see, anything like that?
Well, I met Jesse at the combine and we met in the lobby. We were on call ready to take the shuttle over to the gym to do the combine. And that's when we saw the other gladiators that were going to be participating. And that's when we saw each other. We were like, oh shit. And then after the combine, we kind of figured we both were going to get on because, I mean, I didn't really see his performance, but he said he did well and he killed the push-ups and pull-ups. And he said he's been in talk with them for a year. I think they've been trying to, like a lot of the gladiators were like, yeah, we were supposed to do this like last year. We were getting reached out to. So like I got in like a week before the combine, just randomly saw that flyer and it was just because the challenge kind of put me on the back burner, so I started looking for different avenues, and it was just perfect timing.
Yeah. Now, anybody else that was cast that you knew of before you met them the first time, or everybody was kind of new to you?
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't know anybody, and to be honest, I didn't know how big the wrestler or the wrestling fan base was till all this American Gladiator stuff started coming
Wow.
out. I'm like, oh wow, these like they hired some big time wrestlers, because we're all in the locker room, everybody's very humble, and everybody's just, to be honest, knee deep or head down in what they got to do that day. We're all professionals and we all, had a lot of fun together and enjoyed each other's company. But for the most part, you're like producers telling you, all right, here's your events for the day. Here's your contender you're going against. You got makeup and wardrobe at 11 a.m. Then you got photo shoot at 12. Then you got to warm up, blah, blah, blah. So, um, yeah.
So obviously, you filmed 2 seasons at once, so it has to be a very rigorous schedule. Talk to us about what that daily looked like and how much of a physical toll did it take on your body, and what was the training staff like there to keep you guys safe and in shape?
Yeah, they had a full training staff ready to go. We had even people to stretch us out. The strength coach ran us through, Stuart, he ran us through a full warm-up program. Everything was super professional. But the main thing was filming, since we did film 2 seasons worth in, like I said, it was a span of 30 days, 31 days. So some days we were filming 3 episodes in one day, and you
Wow.
figure each episode has 4 events you could possibly be in. Now, granted, not every gladiator was in every event, every episode. Some episodes you have 2 events or 1 event, or some episodes, maybe not every gladiator is even in that episode, but if you average it out, some days you're playing two, three, usually 2 or 3 games, and even though the games, it's not the same on like the challenge where they're like endurance based or you're waiting for the final where you got to run. They're all the games are 30 to 60 seconds, sometimes even less if you get eliminated or caught. But it's so high intensity because you got to figure these contenders, not only are they fighting for $100,000 at the end, that's a grand prize, but they're fighting for their pride. Like these contenders, like I said, these are primetime athletes. These aren't no, random Joes, sorry, Joe, but
Yeah,
random.
It's not Joe Calabrese off the couch coming into
It's
American
not random
Gladiators.
Joes, these are athletes, and there was some that were levels above it, but they even had some professional athletes in there, and they weren't monstrous gladiator size, but if you're a professional athlete, you have professional athleticism and lateral quickness and, strategic ability in the game. So it was a battle. There was every day, like a lot of people were fighting bruises and bumps and like just trying to thug it out because it was an opportunity of a lifetime. Gladiators is coming back. We're a main gladiator. This is going to be shown on Prime Video. Like you got to go balls to the wall. And I just remember every day, whether it was Powerball or the wall or Hang Tough, I think the combination of all those games everybody's just elbow and bicep and tricep. It was just on fire because of that constant pulling and like 0 to 100 so quick. You're fighting life or death with these people, and you could bench press and do curls all day long, but that doesn't prepare you for that hand-to-hand combat like it is. And then you got to go swing and pull on people while you're hanging your whole body weight plus theirs. It's a lot.
Well, there are a lot of different elements that make a show like this work, and it's going to work. But also, as you mentioned before, there's a certain entertainment value, right? So with that comes casting correctly, getting yourself on the show. With that comes the creativity behind the competitions that they do, and also who they decide to MC and host the show. So you
Mhm.
mentioned before pro wrestlers, as everybody knows, Mike the Miz Mizan and WWE superstar The Miz. He was tasked with hosting the show. Did you have any opportunity to talk to him at all? Get to know him a little bit? Was he a cool guy? Was he as awesome as everybody says he is?
So I got to pick his brain a couple times behind the locker room, but it was, for a brief minute because he was busy with his own, pickup lines and that. But from what I got, the time I got to spend with him, he was a really down to earth dude, very humble, and you could tell he wanted one thing I respected about him. He just wanted the whole show to look good. He was coming in, picking our brain, seeing, what he can do or say to make us look better or feel more comfortable. And same goes for Roxy Diaz. She was in there like giving us game like because she's a pro and vet in this game too. She's been hosting for
Yeah.
decades, since 106 and Park days. And even having her on, as a co-host, those two, I mean, and then Chris Rose. And then I don't know if you guys know who the ref is, the head ref is yet, but that's Thomas Taylor. I mean, a major, major ref in professional boxing. He's ref Canelo's fights. I mean, he's a big time ref, a serious ref, well renowned, respected. So, I mean, they didn't just go star-studded on the gladiators. They went star-studded on the contenders, the hosts, the play-by-play, everybody.
Makes sense. So we mentioned at the top Mayhem. That's your name. Did you have any say in that? It just kind of got assigned to you. What was that
Yeah.
process like
So
getting the
the
name?
process of that was once we got casted, or even probably after the combine, some more interviews, they asked us, "Hey, what would you pick as your gladiator name?" And that kind of caught me off guard because in my head, I'm like, for sure they're picking, and I was like, I can't come up with, I don't know, I can't think of it. So I came up with the finisher because I was thinking of how I wanted my persona or what I could offer in terms of, sticking out from the crowd. Because I think, when I play games and it's man on man, like I like to finish the drill, if you will, like make it night and day. Like, so that's why I came up with that. And I thought Punisher is already, you can't bite off, that's a full-blown Marvel comic series and character and everything. So they came back, after a couple weeks, the head showrunner, DC, calls me. He's like, all right, we got two options. We got Vortex and we got Mayhem. And I was like, all right, if I'm being honest with you, I'm grateful thankful to be a gladiator. I'll take either name, but if it was my choice, I'll go Mayhem 100%. Just like I think that fits the bill with me. That's I mean, when they sent me the character sheet, they compared it to Dennis Rodman. So they were like, at the top it said villain. So they were like, okay, I'm definitely the villain. And then the Dennis Rodman swagger aura. And I think me being cast as Mayhem made my job so much easier because I literally just got to be me. It was literally me out there talking shit, like, just doing my thing, like not arrogant because after the games, I gave a lot of respect to the contenders because, either they fought like hell and, took a whooping and you got to respect them for that, or they did well and, maybe earned some points and you got to tip your hat to them. So, it was never no disrespectful stuff, but it was definitely chaotic and a lot of mayhem in there. So I think my name fits the bill 100%. So I'm excited. I'm just excited for y'all to watch it. Just the wide variety of games. A lot of people don't even, I think a lot of people from like modern day Challenge, Survivor, Big Brother, just reality TV fans, they don't even know the concept of the game. Like there's contenders and they're gladiators. Who can be eliminated? Who can win the game? Like I can't win the $100,000. I'm essentially a prop actor. I'm a paid guy to just go out there and mess people up.
Yeah, no more messy Fessy, messy mayhem coming to Prime
I mean,
real soon.
it's gonna be very, very messy. It's just not gonna be messy in terms of heavily edited,
Right.
dramatic. Who voted? And oh my gosh,
Yeah.
person, how could you do that? And get a million people sob story confessionals. It's gonna be messy, as in like
You're gonna
scrape
mess some
that
people
guy,
up.
scrape that guy off the floor. He's gonna
Yeah.
need some assistance getting
So what
up.
would you say was your best game that you had to
I
play?
think where I'm gonna make my bread, like my bread and butter is just I'm well rounded, I think. My favorite game was by far Powerball, and there's a new game called The Ring that is honestly I like it more than Powerball just because it's so simple and there's a lot less variables. It's basically man on man, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Two gladiators, two contenders. You're each matched up one on one. They got 60 seconds to try to hit the buzzer in the middle. You just got to stop them. If you tackle them, stop their momentum, they got to stop, start outside the circle. So it's just running back and forth, trying to either juke the guy out or, steamroll him.
So good
But
old-fashioned Oklahoma drills, get
yeah,
put to good use.
pretty much. And speaking of those, those clips that are going viral of like those people on that turf running into each other. It's a
Yeah.
lot of big Samoan dudes. It's not all Samoan dudes, but I see a lot of big Samoans doing it. People like when those videos started going viral, I kid you not, maybe a dozen people on Instagram, maybe even more, sent
Tagged
me the
you.
clip
So
of like, would you do this? And I'm like, hell no. Like no pads. There's no like ability to elude or, escape the
it's just
defenders.
like dead weight. Boom.
It's like, yeah, I can make, a name for myself doing a little more and showing physicality in another arena. I'm like, I do not need that smoke. But
Yeah. So before you guys went to film, did they have you watch any clips of the old games, or did you kind of go into it blindly?
so just naturally, like, I mean, once I got the green light that I was going to be an American Gladiator, I went and watched, I watched pretty much everything. I watched the OG 89 and 96 series, and I watched the whole thing of the '08 version. But um, you got to think in 89 and 96, I was born in 91. So I was, even the later seasons of that era, I was 2, 3 years old. So
Yep.
I didn't grow up watching that. The '08 version, I was in high school and, I think I was busy doing my own thing, but I saw clips of it, but I went back and watched the whole thing. And I mean, it's just surreal to think like I'm about to go, do this. And now it's like about to come out. So it's just, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
full circle moment for me. Like I'm 30. When I filmed, I was 33, but I'm 34 now. Like I've graduated college at 22. I thought I was gonna have a shot to go pro, not drafted, but priority free agent. I was getting calls from, scouts like, hey, is this your draft day number? Those were the projections. So I didn't get an opportunity then, Big Brother to the challenge. And it's just like those have been great opportunities, but at the same time, it's not really I made it work because I had the opportunity. But I never watched reality television growing up. I never was, the hey, hey, look at me in the room guy. I was kind of like on the field or the basketball court. So I'm just blessed at my age to still be able to go out there and compete, at a high level, and for it to be televised is a blessing.
Yeah. Now, how impatient were you getting over the last 10 months waiting for the
I was going
announcement?
crazy. I was going, me and all the like couple other gladiators who are talk every day. Yeah, we were like, man, when are they going to release this? And they were being super secretive with everything, like basically like not hinting at anything. We didn't know if it had anything to do with Amazon scheduling or their rollout. So we were just being as patient as we could. Now everything's starting to roll out. The trailer's already out. They released like a minute 40 trailer. I mean, there was a lot to digest in that trailer. There was high impact hits, a lot of things. So I think another big thing we haven't talked about is the release scheduling, how Amazon Prime is going to release on the 17th 3 episodes, and then the following week another 3 episodes, and then the following week, May 2nd, they'll release the final 4 episodes. So that's, in the span of 2 weeks, essentially, you're
Uh,
getting 10 episodes, and then they'll stay on Prime to stream. But that's way different than your typical like Survivor or The Challenge or Trader
right,
Season
once a week.
episode by episode. You're getting the whole thing. So that
Yeah.
for me, I'm glad because you get to see the whole kitchen sink. You get to digest and break down the whole season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we hope that leads to the tour. The touring would be awesome. I'm sure you're looking forward to that, and everybody is. Now, you mentioned it. This kind of came to you because you felt that the challenge was putting you on the back burner, and then there was all rumors you're going to be on the challenge that's filming right now. But it seems to me that the better you do at the competitions on the challenge, the less likely you are to be cast again. I mean, Jeremy just won the challenge. He's not back on the show. You always dominate the competition. So do you think that's the shift they've gone in your since you were entering the show? That's like, let's get people who are not going to really perform well, but at least they'll bring some sort of drama.
I think it more so has to do with there's so many OGs that are huge. They have cult followings, and they're essentially engraved in the show, because these
Right.
people watching them. So I didn't understand that when I got on the show. I was like, oh, this is equal playing field. Y'all got to beat me in these games. And they were asking me in the confessionals, they're like, how do you feel about these games and who can beat? I'm like, no one's beating me. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like it gets aired and then it has everybody else's opinion on it. I'm like, well, yeah, I would hate that guy too if he was saying that. And that's how you're airing it, but that's how I felt. But yeah, I think it's essentially like I compare it to they're the gladiators and the new even though they say well, they're all challengers, I mean that shit it's I mean it's hard to do to make a name for yourself on that show and stick. So that's why I was kind of grateful and blessed to do 6 seasons in the short time span I did, and I didn't win, but I've made it to the end damn near every season. Like so
Yeah.
that equates to a lot of episodes
You were
that
you were a Casey ankle away from easily winning.
teletendon, but yeah,
Yeah,
everything
but
happens for a reason. I could have won the challenge and been challenge, 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 and not been a fucking American Gladiator.
right.
So
So it
pay my
all
dues.
worked out, right, Joe?
Right. I agree. Let me ask you a question. We've had other challenge guys and girls on with us recently. Do you catch the show or do you care to watch the show when you're not on the season? Because, we know you're busy, right? You have a whole life, you care about your fitness, right? You have your schedule delegated a certain way. Do you have time to fit in or are you watching, if you are watching TV or if you are streaming something, is it something else?
Um, I'll watch. I watched a couple episodes of this past season. Usually, if I know like Josh or Corey or someone I'm cool with are gonna have a big episode, I'll watch. Or if somebody talks about it online, a episode, I'll go back and watch that episode. But it's kind of hard to follow when I mean you got to sit through the commercials, and then there's a lot there's not a lot of competition on the air. It's a lot of people sitting around, and I'm not really interested in the drama aspect of it anymore, or what this person's saying about this person. It's kind of, it was cool in the moment during when I was on the challenge, and I was making it work. And I mean, those times I had with those people in those houses were amazing. Some of the best times of my life in those locations. But it's kind of like it gets old. Like, we're grown-ups in bunk beds, like talking in the other room who we're going to vote in, and then you got to walk to the other room and say, "Hey, I'm not voting you in." And then they, play it on the screen like, "Oh, can you believe this person told him you would vote him?" And like, you're put in this house forced to make these weird things, and it's like you can never win. And it's like, I mean, it gets kind of old, and I'm like so thankful that I get to transition to being after so many years on Big Brother and Ninja Warrior and The Challenge and all these reality shows to now it's all performance based. It's like, yeah, there's persona and character in there in your interviews, and fans will get to see and pick their favorites based off that. But at the end of the day, we're lining up, blowing the whistle, and seeing who's the baddest man there. So, I mean, it
Yep,
doesn't get much more, black and white than that. So,
absolutely. So we mentioned Joe being an average Joe before. We don't want Joe to be an average Joe. So theoretically, Fessy, Joe moves down to Orlando, and you and Gabe Wai are going to train him. How long does it take to get Joe in tip-top shape?
I would say 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
It's a good
All right,
time frame.
Joe, Orlando's calling. Get down there, spend the summer in Florida.
Man, I'll tell you something. When we were in Orlando, there was that final day. It was Saturday, right? And you had left a little bit earlier than I did, and I hung around for another hour or two after. And I was talking to this guy over here, and I was talking to Gabe, and I said something. And Fessy, you corrected me immediately, and you started talking, and you started gassing me up. And honestly, when you don't really get that a lot, it sticks out. So I wanted to say that I appreciate whatever you said. Again, I don't really remember it off the top of my head, but you said something and you were like, listen, everybody does something good. Everybody's got their own, and then you started talking and being complimentary of me. And again, I really appreciated that. So hopefully I'll be able to come to Florida soon. I'm thinking about maybe coming in May or sometime in the early summer before it really, really gets hot. And if that happens, I will certainly let you know. And I owe you a little favor. So hopefully we can make that happen, brother.
All
Joe in
right,
the
bro.
gym with Fessy. Can't wait to see.
Bro, you got to get my ass back in fucking shape, man.
You get there, man.
I appreciate you. Now, let me ask you a question. American Gladiators was your favorite show to be on. What is your favorite podcast to be on?
I'm right. It's got to be, I'm right every time.
There we
Hey,
go. Take that, Zach Nichols. Take that, Johnny Bananas.
and all I can say about that is, I'm right, is I mean, for how many years on these shows did I sit there in the interview chair and say, guys, I am really like that. I promise you. Like, these guys aren't fucking with me. And then for years and years, these people go, yeah, who does he think he is? He's not this, he's not that. Now they're gonna have to sit there and swallow the pill of me just mutilating everybody on Prime Video, like globally. It's
hmm
gonna be euphoric.
Yeah.
I can't wait
So
to watch.
as you know, and I guess you have your answer to this question with American Gliders, but we always ask your you know I'm right moment, the time where you wanted to pursue something or something wasn't working out for you. You asked for advice. Someone says bad idea. You were like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do anyway and pursue whatever. And ultimately, it's going to work out for me. I'll tell you, I told you so. Is that American Gladiators for you?
Yeah, it's definitely, this is the moment. This is the full circle, I'm right moment. I mean, everybody fights their own battles and has their own story. And between gladiators and contenders, you'll hear everybody's story, and everybody has a crazy story, but I just feel like a lot of people, my story's been public for so long of like just chasing greatness, whatever it is, whatever playing field or court I'm on, I'm trying to be the best there. And it's like to get the opportunity, not only to be on American Gladiators, but to be a main gladiator. Like that's an honor in itself. Like, I would have went in as a contender. I know a lot of the other gladiators wouldn't have liked that, but I would have done whatever to have a piece of that pie. And I'm sure everybody is gonna be itching to get on, season 3 or the next season when it comes out, whether it's a contender or gladiator. And, there was only, I mean, I guess there's two people from the challenge universe on it, but the way I look at it, I'm like, damn, everybody who doesn't like me from the challenge fan base, they gotta tune in because The Miz is the damn host. So like,
Yep.
sure,
Right.
love The Miz. Everybody loves The Miz. He's a WWE superstar. So I'm like, he gonna pull in the whole crowd himself, and all I got, he's just lining them up. I'm just taking them out one by one.
Well, what I will say here is that there are going to be a lot of people who watch the show and they're going to watch you and they're going to be like, oh, damn, that dude was blessed with good genes. But the element that people forget is that you've always had the work ethic behind the fact that you had those good genes. And that is why these opportunities keep coming up. And that is why Mayhem is going to kill it on American Gladiators, premiering very, very soon, April 17th. Fessy, man, thank you for doing this with us on short notice. We appreciate it. You're welcome back at any time. Again, hopefully I'll be able to come to Florida soon and see you in person. Again, you're amazing the first time we got to meet you. But again, you know how this works. We always give our guests the last words and shared a lot with us already. But if there's anything else you would personally like to share, by all means, go ahead, man. And we thank you again for your time.
So yeah, there is one last thing that caught my attention because when you said good genes, like yeah, I'm very tall, I'm 6'5", so that is some good genes. But one thing I will say about these group of gladiators is these were like my fellow co-gladiators were some monsters. Like these people, like on the men's side, they're just girthy, like thick, low body fat. So like I'm blessed with good genes and I'm tall and I'm pretty big dude, but these guys were on another level. These were professional bodybuilders in WWE. So like I was pretty much one of the leanest gladiators. I wasn't the lightest. There was some people who were shorter. I was the tallest gladiator, but what I'm gonna say is gladiators come in all different shapes and sizes. So when you see me demolishing these contenders, just know I'm not the biggest gladiator doing this. So there's other factors besides me being big and large. You have to have lateral quickness. You have to have a strategic mind of how you're going to pursue this contender or which route to go on this wall. There's so much going into the equation. So just know I'm doing this, whooping everybody's ass with no six pack, chicken legs. All right. You could say whatever. I'm whooping everybody's ass. Go eat a cheese pizza and Diet Coke after. Like, yeah, next contender, please.
All right. There you have it. That's going to do it for this episode of You Know I'm Right for our very special guest, Mayhem, for my co-host, Joe Calabrese. I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.